Hey y'all, it's Kinsey here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a video on my October reads. The books I read in October. We're going to be talking about them, what I thought of them. And yeah, I think I'm also going to do my November TBR in this video because making two separate videos might be a little too much, and I don't think this video is going to be too long because I read I think 10 books in October, which is good, but it's also not my best, but still really good. Let's get into it. Okay, so I started off the month knowing I wanted to read like only thrillers and suspense mysteries this month because, for one, it's October, spooky season. But I had already started this book and I was not going to put it down just to do something else. I wanted to finish it, so I went ahead and finished it. I think I finished it like on October 1st. So yeah, this is Full Tilt by Emma Scott. This book was so good. I cried in this book. This is actually a duet. The second book is called All In, and I was gonna read that, but I was like, I need to stick to my only reading thrillers this month. So I think that's gonna be my first book that I read in November. So, but anyways, this book is about Casey Dawson and Jonah Fletcher, and Casey is a rock star. She's in a band and basically not living her best life. She's kind of like drunk all the time, sad. Basically, she just lives the band life. One night they're in Vegas and she gets really drunk at an after party and she ends up having to be taken home by her limo driver. But he doesn't want to take her home, so he takes her to his house to sleep it off and get better before he actually will take her back to the house. And that limo driver happens to be Jonah Fletcher. And Jonah, I am just going to read you what the back of the book says. You basically know what's going to happen as you're reading this book. Like, you don't have to guess. If you read the back, you know what's going to happen. So, the back just says, Jonah Fletcher is running out of time. Basically, Jonah has a very bad medical condition that is almost incurable, and he is basically on his last leg of life, and that is very sad. So he tells himself he has a routine and he doesn't want to get out of his routine. But then Casey comes along and he allows himself, to get with Casey. And then stuff happens. And yeah, this book was very sad. I rated it 5 stars. It was so good. I really recommend reading this book if you want to cry. I haven't read the second book yet, but I heard the second book will make you feel better. But this book was so good. I loved just the whole aspect of it, I guess, where she's like bad girl, he's good guy. You never really get that in books. You get more of like the bad guy, good girl, but this was the opposite, and I really liked that. So yes, 5 stars for this one. Next up, I read a book starting my thriller book, and I let my boyfriend pick out this book. I had like 4 options, and I basically let him choose it based off of the cover and the name of the book. So he chose The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. I think that's how you say it. But I gave this book 3 stars. I didn't like this book. Like, the concept was so cool and it could have been so good, but I felt bored and annoyed at how many characters there was, and I couldn't keep up, and I was so confused throughout the whole thing. And it's a long book. This book is like almost 500 pages, which may not seem long for a lot of you guys, but I want to say this is the longest book that I have ever read yet. And it was confusing, I'll say that. So basically this book is about Aiden Bishop, and he's in this town called Blackheath, and he has to figure out what happened to Evelyn Hardcastle. Basically, the whole point of the book is Evelyn Hardcastle dies at the same time, at the same way every single night, and Aiden Bishop wakes up as a different person in the town every day. So there's like, I think he has 8 hosts. That's what they're called. They're called hosts. He wakes up in a different host every morning, and he has 8 of them until he starts all over again and his whole memory is wiped. He has 8 chances to he can either die as a host and then he'll automatically wake up as someone new, or if he falls asleep before midnight, he'll wake back up, but then when I think it's either 11 p.m. or midnight hits, he will wake up as a new host, basically. This book was so confusing because of all the different characters that were in it. For one, there was the 8 people that Aiden Bishop is, and then there's Evelyn Hardcastle and this other girl, and then there's like parents, and there are so many characters. I could not keep up. It was like so much. My brain was hurting reading this book, and I got bored. I don't know. This book could have been so good, and I feel like a bunch of people love it, and I just didn't. Like, 3 stars. It wasn't absolutely horrible, but I felt like it was just too long. They could have wrapped it up way sooner. I didn't guess what was going to happen until, like, closer to the end, and then I guessed what was going to happen. But yeah, the ending was okay. I just was very disappointed. I had higher expectations, and I guess I was just let down by that. Next up, I read The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I think that's how you say it. I rated this book 5 stars. This was so good. I did guess the plot twist, which a lot of people say they don't guess the plot twist in this book, but I did guess the plot twist, but that still did not stop me from rating it 5 stars because it was that good. As I said, it was that good. This is about Alicia Berenson, and basically she, quote, kills her husband one day and then never speaks again for like 6 years or something like that. But then this criminal psychotherapist named Theo Faber decides he's going to try and get Alicia to talk again and find out what happened to her husband, Gabriel, which is who she killed. This book had me like, I was invested in reading this book. Like I said, I guessed what happened. I was like talking to my boyfriend. I was like, this has to be what happened. Like, I know this is what happened. And I was like, it has to be. Like, if I don't guess this right, then I'm going to be crazy. Like, I was determined that I knew what the ending was going to be. And I kept telling him, I was like, I know how this is going to end. Like, this has to be how this is going to end. And if it doesn't, then something's wrong with my brain. And it ended up actually ending like that. So I was pretty proud of myself when I got this right. Even though sometimes I like to be surprised, but then other times I like to guess the endings just because I think it's cool to guess the ending. But yeah, so 5 stars for this. I really recommend reading this. This is a psychological thriller, and it was pretty good. I read Layla by Colleen Hoover. This book I rated 4 stars, and I actually liked this more than I thought I was going to. This book has a lot of mixed reviews, and usually I hear like bad stuff about it, how people don't like it, but I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I also guessed what was going to be the ending. In this book, I guessed the plot twist, but I still thought it was good. It wasn't like, wow, like 5-star worthy, but it was still a good read, I thought, anyway. It's a very quick read. It's a short book. I think I finished it in 1 night, or maybe like 2 nights, something like that, but it was very quick. But yeah, this is about Leeds and Layla, obviously, and they meet at a wedding, and they basically just fall in love when they first meet, and they meet at this bed and breakfast, and so something bad happens to Layla. Something tragic happens to her. I won't say what, just because I feel like it was good to not know. But anyway, something happens to Layla, and she decides to, Leeds, I guess, decides to take her back to the bed and breakfast after she heals from whatever happened to try and get the relationship back on track, because after her accident she just wasn't the same person. She was completely different than the Layla that he used to know. So when they get to this bed and breakfast, weird stuff starts to go down. Some like stuff is like I think the stove turns off on its own, and like stuff is moving around, paranormal type stuff starts happening. And then on the back of the book, it says, feeling distant from Layla, Leeds soon finds solace in Willow, another guest of the bed and breakfast with whom he forms a connection through their shared concerns. That's all I will say about this book, but I thought it was pretty good. I don't know why people hate it. I saw no reason at all to hate this book. Sure, it's not Colleen Hoover's best work, but I thought it was really good, so 4 stars. Next up, I read Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. By her. This book was so good. 5 stars, 5 stars. I also guessed the plot twist in this. Look, I'm sorry. I know people don't like when you guess the plot twist, but I know what happens. I don't know why, because I don't watch scary movies or anything. But I can guess what's going to happen. I don't know. But anyway, this book is about a town, and this little girl goes missing. Her name is Delilah, and her mother also goes missing with her, named Meredith. And there's this other girl named Shelby Tebow. She was the first to go missing, and then Meredith and Delilah go missing as well, right? So then they're trying to figure out what happened. The main guy, which is the husband of Meredith, and there's 2 main girls that are the neighbors to Meredith, And this book actually has multiple POVs. It has a POV of Leo, which is Delilah's little brother, Meredith's son, the 2 that went missing. It's him. It also has Meredith from before she went missing, so it flashes back to leading up to when she goes missing. It also has the beginning of the book, I guess you would say. It has Delilah's point of view, which is the little girl that went missing, and it also has Kate's point of view, which Kate is one of the neighbors. I said there's two girls that live together and they're neighbors. It also has her point of view. So eventually Delilah returns. That's on the back of the book. I'm not spoiling anything. Everyone wants to know what happened. So yeah, this is kind of trying to figure out what happened. And this had some shocking plot twists, but I guess the main one. But then on the other one, I was shocked at first. Okay, this book was so good. Anyway, 5 stars. Go read it. And I had to take a break from reading the suspense and thrillers. I know, I wasn't supposed to, but I got this in the mail. And I had to read it. This is It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. If you've read It Ends With Us, this is the second book in that sequel. This is basically just a book about Lily and Atlas's relationship after the first book ends. This book picks up exactly where the first book leaves off, from basically where Lily and Atlas meet in the street and say that they're gonna start talking again, basically. This book starts there, and it just goes and talks about their relationship. I thought this was really good. 5 stars. Again, it doesn't have any crazy plot twists or anything, but literally in the beginning of the book, in the author's note, if you read it, I'm just going to read you her little note right here, okay? It says, "Dear reader, this book is a sequel to It Ends With Us and begins right where the first book concluded. For the best reading experience, It Starts With Us should be read second in the 2-book series. After releasing It Ends With Us, I never imagined I would one day be writing a sequel. I also never imagined that the book would be received as it has by so many. I am so grateful to all of you who found Lily's story to be as empowering as I find my own mother's. After It Ends With Us gained momentum on TikTok, I was inundated with requests for more Lily and Atlas. And how could I possibly deny a community that has changed my life? This novel was written as a thank you for the tremendous support, and because of that, I wanted to deliver a much lighter experience. Lily and Atlas deserve it. I hope you enjoy their journey. All my love, Colleen Hoover. So she literally says it in her little note at the beginning of the book that this book is going to be a light experience. It's not going to have any crazy plot twists, nothing like that. And I loved it. I felt like they didn't need any crazy plot twists. I love that Lily and Atlas just finally got to be together and get their happiness. I loved it so much. And there was one plot twist in this book, though, that I did not see coming at all, and I loved it. I love the plot twist so much. It's not like a crazy sad or anything, but it's so good. This book was 5 stars. I really enjoyed just hearing Lily and Atlas. Alright, and then next up I read Final Girls by Riley Sager. This book was 5 freaking stars. This book had me shook in so many ways because I did not see the plot twist coming. This is like the first thriller book I ever read where I did not guess the plot twist. So Riley Sager, good job, dude. Anyway, this is about a girl named Quincy Carpenter. And basically it flashes back between like then and now, basically. And it's about final girls. So there's 3 final girls, meaning there are 3 girls in this book who have survived like mass murders, basically. They're survivors and they're called final girls. There's Quincy, Lisa, and what's the other girl's name? Samantha. That's right. And yeah, so they're the final girls. Quincy, I'll kind of talk more about her because she's the main character, right? So 10 years ago, she went to a cabin called Pine Cottage with 5 of her friends, and she came back alone. She was the only survivor of a mass murder that happened to all of her friends, and she got out alive. And she is going through trying to deal with that in her present life. And Lisa, one of the final girls, kills herself. And Samantha decides to finally meet Quincy. And then some weird stuff starts happening. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want to throw the plot twist in there accidentally. So I'm going to stop right there. And yeah, this book was freaking 5 stars though. This was so good. I will say though, if you don't like to like read gory stuff, don't read this because there is some very like descriptive killing stuff in here, so if you don't like that, don't read it. But yeah, 5 stars. This was freaking good. Then I have In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. I gave this 4 stars, I believe. Let me check. Yes, 4 stars for this book. I honestly, I don't know. This book was really good. It's about Lenora, and she goes on a bachelorette party with some of her old friends that she hasn't seen in a really, really long time. And someone, I'm not going to say who, but someone ends up dead. And so she's basically on a trial for murder. So the lighting has changed a bit. Sorry about that. But let's go ahead and finish the few books I have left. I don't have any physical copies of these books. The last book, physical book that I read was called Behind Closed Doors, and that one is at my boyfriend's house because I forgot it there. But yeah, that one's about Jack and Grace, and they are a married couple, and some weird stuff has been going on with Grace, and her friends kind of notice, but not quite. And they seem like the perfect couple and everything else. Jack seems like the perfect man ever, and yeah. That's all I'm gonna say for that book, because I feel like going into that book blind was the best way that I could have did it, because I was shocked at how much I hate Jack. Just saying, just a heads up. If you're gonna read this book, I despise Jack. He's the literal most hated character in any book I have ever read yet to date. I hate that man with so much passion in my heart. Anyway, that book got 4 stars. I felt like it could have gotten more stars, but some things I feel were a little slow in the book, and the ending was a bit rushed in my opinion, but it was still really good, and I still recommend reading it because the story behind it will have you absolutely frustrated. But yeah, 4 stars. Okay, the next books are all audiobooks that I read. 3 of them, I read 4 altogether. 3 were rereads. I actually read the paperback version of those already, and I decided I wanted to read the audiobook just so I could hear it. So let's talk about those first. So I read Verity and by Colleen Hoover. That one was actually free on Audible this month. Well, the month of October, because I think it's like a spooky book. So I listened to the audiobook of Verity. That book is still 5 stars for me. I also listened to the audiobook of Flock, which is the first book in the Ravenhood series, which is my all-time favorite series ever. And that book is so good. 5 stars again. And lastly, I listened to Credence by Penelope Douglas, and that book is pretty good. The audiobook was kind of trash, so I give the audiobook like 3 stars. The normal book is about 4 stars, but the audiobook, I'd skip it. It wasn't that good. And lastly, the last book I listened to was called Taunt Her by Caitlin Dare. Okay, I'm back. My camera battery died. So yeah. But I think I was talking about Taunt Her by Caitlin Dare. This book was about Ace and Remy, and I think it's the first book in like a Rebels at Sterling Prep. I don't know if that's the name of the series, but something like that. Anyway, that book was really good. I gave it 4 stars. It's basically about Ace and his 2 brothers move in with their uncle, and their uncle is dating a lady that is Remy's mom, and Ace and Remy like get together. That's basically what it's about. So yeah, those are all the books that I read in the month of October. So let's go ahead and talk about my November TBR. And firstly, I'm just going to turn around here. I am going to hopefully read the Twisted series by Anna Huang. I didn't want to move all of this stuff, so I'm just going to point to it, which is right here. So we have Twisted Love, Twisted Games, Twisted Hate, and Twisted Lies. So I haven't read any of these yet, but I'm hoping to get to them this month. So yeah, those will be very high up on my TBR for this month. I have All In by Emma Scott. This is the second book in the Full Tilt duet. So yeah, I want to read this one. That's probably what I'm going to read first. I'll probably start reading that tonight, actually. And then I also have Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. I would really like to read this. I have heard good things about it, but it's not super high on my Colleen Hoover book list. That's why I'm reading it now, because I'm almost done with almost all my Colleen Hoover books. But yeah, Regretting You. The next one I have is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I still haven't read this. I've had it for a while, and I've heard such good things about it. But recently I've been actually hearing mixed reviews, so it makes me skeptical to go into it because this book is thick. It is over 500 pages. Yeah, it's 552 pages, so this is a long book. This will take me a couple days to get through, and yeah, so hopefully it's really good. All I know is it's about Naomi and Knox. Small town romance, Grumpy Sunshine, I think. And the last book on my TBR is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This is part of the UCMH series, and this is the first book that she has come out with. I think this is actually her debut novel, if I'm not mistaken, but this book is about Anastasia and Nathan, and Anastasia is a figure skater, and I believe Nathan is on the hockey team, and yeah, so Larry reads mainly by this book. She said that this was like her new all-time favorite book or something similar to that, so I was like, okay, gotta have it, and I bought it, and now I can't wait to read it because I've heard nothing but good things. So yes, that's very high on my list for this month as well. Alright guys, so this video, it might be kind of long, but that was my October reads and my November TBR. November should be a pretty good month for me to read. Sorry if you hear my dog scratching and whining at the door, he wants in. But yeah, please give this video a thumbs up, let me know what books you read this month, and yeah, I love you all so much. Bye!